It's our sixth day on the ship, and we are at the port of Kusadasi, Turkey. Today we're going on a tour that is best of Ephesus, which should visit the house of the Virgin Mary, the Ephesus Open Air Museum, an archaeological museum of Ephesus, and Basilica of St. John. So it should be a full day. The tour is supposed to last about 7 hours, and we're supposed to depart about 8:30. Right in the distance now, I'm seeing lightning, so I'm not sure what kind of a day this is going to be, but we are going to go out and brave it.
The town was called Scala Nova, that was the Latin name. And then after the Turkish conquest, then in time they started using the name Kusadasi because of that little island which has now disappeared behind your ship. Did you see that little island with a fortress? Well, you'll see it in the afternoon, you'll see it on the way back. Just behind your ship there's a tiny, tiny island, that's the Pigeon Island, and we have pigeons and seagulls and a few songbirds, breeding over there, so therefore the name of Kusadasi, the Pigeon Island. And the fortress that you will see again in a few moments when we are on top of the hill, that is from the very early 17th century. It was built in the Ottoman period. The Ottoman period is the time when Turkey was what we call Turkey today. This peninsula that used to be a part of an empire, the Ottoman Empire. That's the time when Turkey was a monarchy and we had a Turkish emperor. Well, the name for the emperor was Sultan, and during that time Kusadasi was very often attacked by pirates and looted, and so therefore, now you can see it again actually, it's right over there behind the ships. So that fortress was built for the defense of Kusadasi, and that causeway connecting that island to the mainland, that was built in the 1970s. This country has a coastline of approximately 8,000 kilometers, that's about 5,500 miles of coastline that we have. We are surrounded by 8 neighbors: Bulgaria, Greece, Cyprus, Syria, Iraq, Iran, former Persia, and look, this neighbor here in the northeast, that used to be Russia, but a little over 20 years ago that border was divided in half, and since then we have, 2 more borders with our new neighbors, Armenia here and Georgia. Then, the total population of Turkey is about 69 to 70 millions. And more than half of the people are living here on this site, and that's where the big cities are. And the biggest city is the only city in the world upon 2 continents. The city of Istanbul, or Constantinopolis, or Byzantium. There are more names, like Asitani and Nea Roma. Well, the name was changed every few centuries. Bless you. And for almost about 500 years long, that city used to be our capital. Today it's not the capital anymore, but Istanbul is still the heart of the country, and the population, the official population, 13 millions, but we believe that about 16 million people do live in Istanbul. Since 1923, Ankara is our present-day political capital, the second largest city of this country, with about 4.5 million people, and I would say that about a third of the city is somehow involved with the government. They're working somehow for the ministries and the government, or all the embassies. Then the third largest city, that is Izmir, which is just around the corner over here, which is a city almost as old as Ephesus. And Izmir is actually the most important commercial hub of this country. Actually, Izmir started flourishing, Smyrna started flourishing after the port of Ephesus, the place which we're going to see today, had been silted in by a river called Meandros. Now, Ephesus, a gigantic archaeological site where the excavations are being carried out since 115 years. Ephesus was a seaport, and a seaport is usually located on the seaside. Now please have a look to the left-hand side. Look, there's a long beach. The part of the beach which is behind the hotels, look there, behind that pyramid, over there where that curve is. Imagine that curve, and all the flat land to the right-hand side of that curve, the flat area in between the hills, that was not existing 1,500, 1,600 years ago, because that used to be the entrance into the port of Ephesus. You know that Ephesus was a seaport. But today, when we're on the side, you will see that that place is inland. 4.5 miles, 7 kilometers inland. The reason is a river, a meander, Well, you have followed the word meandering from that river. Yeah, that's the winding river. This river Meandros is bringing since thousands of years alluvial soil from inland. And this river is silting in this area. And still, every year, the sea retreats another few millimeters. So therefore, the sea is retreating, and so therefore, the dip is getting larger and larger.
Now entering Ephesus. This is the third building of Ephesus. The first two were destroyed by earthquakes. Agala, meeting place where speeches were given. There's another agala down below. This is a theater.
And it's Roman, and it looks like a theatre, but it was not serving for drama or for tragedies and for comedies. That used to be the concert hall of Ephesus, the Odeon, and at the same time that building was active as the 1,000 years long, the odd water of more than 200,000 people.
Bringing in fresh drinking water. This pile of pipes was from Roman time, a little bit later. This is an ancient backgammon board.
You must imagine that the other way around, sitting on top of the pillars. So when you were looking at the ceiling, of course, from that side, you were looking at those you won't find in Kusadasi or any other part of the Mediterranean. That symbolizes the power
Ionic
of nature. So that
capitals.
is special to this region. I can point out all the different buildings and the parts of the city, and you can take some very good pictures. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you know that Ephesus was a secret. And actually, still active today. This here down to this point would be only about 800-900 meters. But because of all that silting, the water is today at the underground road. That's why we drove along it. Please imagine that. So when they landed at
This area was once the harbor. This whole valley was water. The water has receded out over the years.
And then afterwards came another. It was a kind of a quantity. So it gives you an idea where the water started. So the people who were living here to the left and right, they had a nice sea view. They were looking at
Far buildings were harbor baths, because that's where the water came up
below
to.
this building on which we're standing, look, there's a monument.
Town hall, where the mayor was.
Down the street.
On our way down to the lower part of the city.
My camera picture.
Hey, how are you?
Baba gel çabuk. Çok güzel. Sen çekil.
And at the end is the library.
It's another thing. You were in the world of the Savior. So in this word fish, we have the sentence, Jesus Christ, God's Son and Savior. This was all inside the circle. But actually, it is, in a way, the second oldest secret symbol of the Christian faith. Now, the reason why you want to see this now, very often you encounter in the street. Look, this was the wealthiest part of Ephesus. In between here, they just some of our older colleagues, they believe in this structure here in front of you.
And a good inscription can be seen in this piece here.
Terracotta, the rusty bronze work over there. That's the decorating the sidewalk. The mosaic starts with the 1st century AD, but until the 7th century it had to be relaid and repaired many times. And those little chambers were shops. Please imagine that all these walls were plastered and whitewashed. So when this was active, you would not see those bricks and the rocks they used for constructing the wall and the mortar. That wasn't visible. Yes, 1895. And so far they say that only about... Because another street, another house. That was Hadrian. Do you know that Hadrian and his wife Sabina came several times to Ephesus? Yeah? And he was actually, compared to so many other Roman emperors, a very, a very popular one. We have only 2 parts. We have a monumental entrance which is called the Pronaos, and there behind a tiny cellar where once the statue was kept, but that's not existing anymore. Then, another difference to the other temples, here where the lady is standing, just here, taking notes, there ought to be an altar standing, but since it was the main road, an altar was never constructed because they didn't want to have an obstacle right in the middle of the street. Then we have 2 ladies, very important. Please have a look at the outer arch, at the keystone, the highest point of the arch. There we have a female face. Can you see that lady? You call her Fortuna, the goddess of fortune. Then there's another very important lady, and she's just above the door at the inner arch. Look there, she's completely surrounded by plants. Her arms are wide open, and she's depicted half naked. And that's a creature from Greek mythology. She is the one who had, instead of hair, serpents on her head. What was her name?
Medusa.
Medusa. And you know that Medusa had the power to turn people into stones. And Medusa was here, and amulet against evil, to fight the evil spirit, like that evil eye that you found this morning in your bag. That has more or less the same function as this lady is doing. So the Hadrian temple was not smelly at all. And besides that, look, the canal under the seats is very deep, and they're constantly fresh water was running, so everything was washed out to the point, so therefore it was not smelly at all. Now tell me, how do we know that this was a gentleman's place and not a lady's place? How do we know that? Tell me. This tomb over here behind me is called the Octagon. Now when you read the sign, it reads that it was the tomb of a princess called Arsinoe. Now most of our people do not know that Arsinoe was actually the younger sister of Cleopatra, the queen of Egypt. And when Cleopatra became the queen of Egypt, she had 2 siblings. And especially the brother is known, but not the younger sister. Ptolemy, you all know about Ptolemy, but nobody knows Arsinoe. When she became the queen, actually they were both a threat for Cleopatra because they could claim the throne and the country. And so therefore she had them sent to exile. And Arsinoe, her younger sister, was sent to Ephesus. And very shortly after that, she had the affair with Julius Caesar, and you know that Julius Caesar was assassinated. And that moment, she started the affair with Mark Antony. I don't think that there was too much love involved. Mark Antony was really stationed here in Asia Minor. Most people don't know that he was in Pergamum. And so Mark Antony was the key to Asia Minor, one of the wealthiest provinces of the Roman Empire. So the affair had to stop. Yeah. So at the very beginning of their affair, they were on a sort of a honeymoon. And they came to Ephesus. Yeah? They planned to go to Ephesus. And when Arsinoe, who was in exile here in Ephesus, heard that her sister Cleopatra was about to arrive, she wanted to have a meeting with her sister. Yeah? Mark Antony was horrified. He thought that Cleopatra would be assassinated. Yeah? She was, for him, the key to Egypt. Yeah? So therefore, he wanted to protect her. When Arsinoe insisted, when she insisted on that meeting with her sister, Mark Antony sent his soldiers after her. She sought refuge at the Artemis Temple, which was a sanctuary. Now, according to law, she couldn't be touched over there. Mark Antony wouldn't care about that. He sent in his soldiers, and on the steps of the Artemis Temple, they slaughtered Arsinoe, the younger sister of Cleopatra. And you know who watched that? Cleopatra. Yeah. I don't think that she was a nice lady at all. She watched how her younger sister died over there. Yeah. Oh, she was awful, I think. Yeah. And Mark Antony was awful too. Yeah. And because she was of royal descent, she was buried here in the tent.
Library of Ephesus.
In memory of Augustus, the Roman emperor, and his son-in-law Agrippa, and there behind the arch was there where the trees are, that was the market area. And when the market area was enlarged, at the time of Nero never came to Ephesus, he just took money. Where did that money? little rectangle with an inscription which has almost disappeared. Look here, a lady, that's the face of the lady. And in the upper left corner, the bottom right corner for you, the shape of a heart with lots of dots in it. And that means please follow the street into this direction, but please stay on the left-hand side of the street because it's a left route. At the intersection, just across the library, there are ladies. If you want to make love, but only if you've got the money, the lots, then you're welcome to the bordello banks.
Agora Marketplace.
In order to strengthen the acoustics, they should simply heighten the stage building from 2 to 4. When the acoustic...
Kinds of really, what do you call it, interlock